Okay, hey you and welcome. Man, we are so excited to get into this whole episode, folks. It's been
a minute.
It's been quite a long, it's been a long ass time.
Yeah.
Since we did our last listener stories, folks. The last one was a doozy, to be fair. I mean, it did end up with like a dead body falling through the roof.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
So we thought it was hard to top that one for a while. But you know what, folks, we're back at it.
We've got some great ones today.
We do have some great ones. Once again, folks, thank you so much to everybody who sends in listener story for the podcast. You're all becoming a part of the podcast. I just want to say this. I say this every time, but we do not read out these stories in order. So if you have sent in maybe some of you, sent in a story like, I don't know, months and months ago, and we haven't read it out, do not fear. We are not doing these in order. We're basically just kind of like doing these in arbitrarily.
I'm just picking randomly, whatever. Like, there's 197 pages in the doc at the moment.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there.
Exactly. So we will try and get back into doing these somewhat more regularly. Yeah. Because we've got a lot of shit to cover, folks. You got you're a bunch of weirdos out there. You sending us in your effed up experiences, which we are excited to get into. All right, Keith, housekeeping before we get into this whole episode. Has Mike watched any new movies for his movie review show? No. Have you any horror experiences from your haunted house?
Nothing horror,
no.
But I do.
Okay, moving on. Next story. Do you have anything good?
So I was reading a book the other day, and I found a little card in it. And it was
reading?
Sometimes I read.
How
sometimes.
Dare you?
And I have a little bookmark, and the bookmark is I got it in the Satanic Temple. This is the time we were in Salem, so around this time last year. And basically, when we're in the Satanic Temple, it's like one of these machines. You put like $1 in, and like it gives you a card with like a bit of wisdom on it, whatever. I've been thinking about any of it, use it as a bookmark, and then I only looked at the card properly recently, and on the back of it has your lucky numbers. And that day
it was 666.
No, it actually wasn't.
Oh.
So I was actually, funny enough, I'd never really do the lotto, but that day, for whatever reason, I'd been thinking of the lotto. Then I found a card, and I found the lucky numbers on the back. I was like, oh shit.
Whoa.
I need to do the lotto.
This is a sign from the devil himself.
Right? Okay, so I done the lotto with the same numbers.
Yes, he
and then
did.
I was like, oh fuck. It's like, if I win, does that mean that I sell my soul to Satan? Not one fucking number came up, man. Not one number.
That is Satan having the last laugh on you idiot.
Turns out it's harder to sell your soul than I thought.
Yeah.
Maybe my soul is just worthless.
Yeah, it is. He probably would have given you it back. That would have been
garbage soul.
Imagine if you'd won, though.
I know, right?
That would be crazy.
That would be cool, wouldn't it? That'd be a good story.
That would be a good story. Instead, folks, you were left with that. So
that would have made a better story.
Yeah, exactly. Just lie next time.
Yeah, okay.
Keith, you came in. You're covered in gold chains. You have gold teeth now. You drove him in your Bentley. All right. Well, you know what? So that's a bad story. That's an example of a bad story that Keith just told. But folks, you sent in some good stories. As usual, we'll do this in our typical listener tales way, which is me and Keith. We have both picked out stories. We'll alternate. Keith, do you want to go first, or shall I?
Will we flip a coin?
Yes, we shall.
I don't have a coin.
Wait, who carries coins? Coinflipper.com.
Oh,
There's
cool.
probably...
I'm sure it's an app.
It started flipping before we even called that aside.
Tails never fails. I'm going to go with tails.
Okay, I'm flipping it again, though. Well, it's tails there, but I'm going to flip it again. Shit. Okay, so your tails. All right. Folks, it's heads! All right, folks, so I'm going first. All right, so story number 1. Today's story is sent in by Thomas. Thomas from Wisconsin. Hey, Thomas. Thanks for listening. Thanks for taking the time to write out this story. Now, let's give it a go, you and I, Keith. All right, here we go. Howdy, Mike and Keith. I hope you are well. My name is Thomas, and I'm from Wisconsin. Fun little anecdote before I get into my story. I was working on a house in Milwaukee while listening to the Dolly Osterreich and the Psycho in the Attic episode. That was a good episode. Did that, it was about 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. It's a fun episode. Actually, I really enjoyed that one. I never knew anything about it until the podcast. And because it occurred in the city I was working in, I got curious and looked up exactly where the house was. Turned out to only be 7 houses away from the one I was at.
No way.
Crazy. Thomas, you never know. Was there anything in the attic in the house you were in, perchance? Any crazy...
Have you checked?
Check again?
Yeah. Become friends with your neighbours. Ask to see their attic.
That's it. They're only 7 houses away. Knock on their door. Be like one of like those crazy people. Anywho, I've got my glass of Guinness. Wait, what? Glass of Guinness? Thomas, come on.
I hope it's a pint, Thomas.
I hope it's a big glass, as in a pint, because there's only one way to drink it. But I do appreciate the effort. So let's get into this one, shall we? Okay, Thomas is now setting the scene, folks.
Okay.
That's the wind. Alright, to set the scene, put yourself in a small village, one with many homes all packed together neatly. The streets all have sidewalks covered in thick trees, and the bygone streetlights do their best to light the way during the dark nights when the moonlight can barely pierce the canopies. Thomas, did you take a creative writing class per chance?
That was very good.
Yeah, it is good. You did a good job.
I feel like I'm there.
I know, I feel the cold breeze against my skin. It's a pretty good setting the scene, I like that. This particular night when my story took place was one of those dark nights. The year was 2015. The month, September. Exactly 9 years ago to this day as I'm writing. I have a rather average memory. Most of 2015 is a blur to me, but I can recall every detail of this particular night. I share with you, Thomas, I've got a shite memory. I literally one of those people, I can't even remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
If the police came up to me and asked, where were you, this night 2 years ago? I'd honestly have to say, I haven't got a fucking clue.
Yeah, no idea. My memory's awful.
I cannot even tell you what I had for dinner yesterday.
I know, yeah. And I feel like, especially my 4 years in college, that's just one big blur.
Oh, same. Yeah, I have vaguely positive memories, I think, but yes, it's all very blurry.
I enjoyed myself, I think.
Exactly, yeah. The nights were beginning to get cold, indicating the harsh Wisconsin winter was well on its way. I was 17 at this time. I hadn't experienced any significant paranormal encounters and didn't believe in them, but this night, 9 years ago, would blur those beliefs for presumably the rest of my days. Well, color me intrigued, Thomas. Mind you and the listener, that's you, folks. I have no history with sleep paralysis or seeing things that aren't really there, etc., and I still don't. So nipping that in the bud for any of you naysayers who are trying to explain this story. I was at a basement party surrounded by a good chunk of people, all laughing, drinking, dancing, the whole kit and caboodle.
I like how he spelled kitten.
Yeah, I know, I do enjoy that. Yeah. Kit and caboodle.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be kit and caboodle. Right?
I prefer his way.
I like his as well. Also, I get those things wrong all the time. I thought for the longest time it was, like parboil? If you want like parboil
yeah,
something.
Yeah, to half boil it or whatever.
Yeah, I thought it was like powerboil. You want to powerfully boil it.
Oh, yes, whack out a full heat.
Yeah, I know.
I was having fun and had no reason to feel uneasy, yet I felt a sensation to just leave. I didn't think much of it and decided to head out. I told a friend where I was going and headed up the stairs to leave. At the top of the basement stairs is the kitchen, and between the back porch and the kitchen lay a mudroom where everyone left their shoes before entering the home.
If you have a mudroom anywhere but your back porch, you're not wiping correctly.
Oh God, Keith. Moving on.
That's a poo joke for you.
I got it. I think everybody and their mom's got that one. The screen door to the back porch was unlocked, and the bright porch light shone through the unlit mudroom from outside. I entered the dimly lit mudroom and nothing was out of the ordinary. I bent down to put my shoes on when I decided to look back up because, for some weird reason, I thought I saw something in front of me. Okay, shit's getting real, folks. This is perfect for the haunted time of year that it is. Yeah. As I looked up, a surge of fear coursed through my body when I realized I wasn't alone. Not more than 5 feet in front of me was a shadow in the light. It's hard to even just call it a shadow because it was pitch black. I had no idea what I was seeing because it was not my own shadow, and it should have been somewhat visible in the light that was coming through from the porch. This terribly dark, shadow-like figure seemed to resemble an old lady with a slight hunch holding a bag. Oh, I don't like that.
That's creepy.
Oh, ladies, no thank you. I stood there completely frozen for what I believe was 5 to 10 seconds, staring at this thing, absolutely scared stiff. It wasn't until the figure turned to its right and walked into the dark corner of the mudroom that I was able to hurry back downstairs. How big is this mudroom?
What is mudroom? I assume it's just like...
It's just a porch area where you leave your muddy shoes.
But there's like a separate room for that?
It's just a porch,
okay.
I guess, another way of putting it.
Okay.
See, instead of making a dumb joke about wiping your ass, Keith, you should learn what a mudroom is.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. Educate yourself.
Before heading down, I took a look behind me to see if it was still there, but it was gone. The door still shut. Oh, I don't like these dark shadow figures.
Yeah.
Especially old lady ones. Not a fan. Now back down at the party, I was frightened, and my friend came up to me wondering why I had come back. He quickly noticed how scared I was and asked what was up with me. I explained to him what I just told y'all. He was a little unsure how to deal with what I just told him, so we agreed to stay at the party a little longer and leave together. I'm sure, let's just stay here and drink, and sure it'll sort itself out. And the ghost lady will just disappear.
Wait for it to all blow over.
We did just that and didn't talk any more about what I had witnessed. We left together about 30 minutes later, through the same route I took earlier, with nothing seemingly unusual, and I only thought about what happened for a brief moment as I passed through the mudroom. We went to the front and made our way onto the sidewalk, when I looked at my friend, who was motionless and staring down the end of the block. Okay, now I'm actually getting chills. 7 houses away stood a streetlight, lit up by a small radius of the crosswalk below it, and from the right side of the light crept out a hunched over old lady with a bag. Only this was the same one I'd seen before, completely void of any colour directly in the light. Petrified again, my friend and I couldn't move. A sense of dread, one like I had never felt before, plagued my body. As the darkness slowly moved through the light and across the street, my friend shakily said, "That's exactly what you explained you saw." "We should run," I whispered. We turned around and booked it, not just jogging, but full on sprinting away from whatever it was we'd just witnessed. I conjured up the strength to look back, and there, it's still there, folks, lazily crossing the sidewalk with its bag. When I looked away yet again, still in full stride, the wind blowing through my ears turned into what I can only describe as yelling whispers.
Whispers. Oh, that's terrifying.
Which were coming from the other side of the street where the figure crossed too. A faint dog's barking were the only other thing I could hear. I couldn't help but fear for my life at this point. When we reached the other end of the street, we slowed down to a stop to assess the situation. No more figure in the light, no whispers, and no more dogs barking, but more importantly, the foreign sensation of dread was gone. We felt safer. They got away, folks.
Thank God. Well, he wrote the story, so.
Yeah. Well, you never know. It could be a ghost writing. And Shinae spelled correctly. Fair play to you, Thomas. That's it. Thankfully, a rather anticlimactic ending to one of the scariest, unexplainable experiences I've ever had. My friend had a little more ways to get home. Screw him. So it's like, good luck. So I made sure to keep my phone by me in case anything went awry.
Okay, this is me. See ya.
Yeah, all right. See you later. He and I were shaken up the whole way home, but made it without further incident. Both of us have yet to have another encounter with this thing or something alike, but every time I find myself looking at a streetlight down a dark road, I still freeze, fearing what may walk out of the darkness. I wonder if did you ever go back to that house, I wonder, where he originally saw the hunched over old lady, because it's almost like it's following him.
Yeah.
Is it behind you right now, Thomas? I see this. I hear you barking, big dogs. You may be thinking it's from alcohol or other party favors, but I only had 2 tree beers, spelled correctly, earlier that night, which is commonplace for myself and most Wisconsinites. I had my wit that night, and besides this event, I have never experienced anything remotely similar to this under any influence. I'd love to hear your theories on the matter. I just looked into shadow people, but I can't be sure. I wonder if it was a case of folie à deux, but we've never had any other similar instances of that condition. Of course, it could just be a confused elderly person who accidentally got lost and wandered into the wrong home, who is completely devoid of any light and pitch black, but the way it wasn't materializing in the light debunks that possibility for me. With all that being said, thank you for reading and thank you for listening, and thank you listeners for listening. Very, very polite. I'm honored to be able to share my story in that chapter. Thank you, Mike and Keith, for your dedication to our entertainment. You're loved back. Cheers, Thomas. Good story. That freaked me out. I actually did get chills there for a second. Thanks, Thomas, for sending it in. Very well written. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I feel like for the theories, this kind of sounds up your wheelhouse, Mike. Like it very much sounds like a Lovecraftian creature. You know, like beings of pure darkness or like void light. Sounds like it's from one of those books you're reading. You know?
Fucking nerd. Yeah.
I had a quick Google there. So other than shadow people, maybe it's a black shuck. So these creatures, they're sometimes described as so dark that they seem like holes in the fabric of reality, and their eyes glow with an eerie light, adding to the contrast. Although the legends, they say that they're usually always depicted as like spectral black dogs. You can get a lot of them in the UK.
Okay.
But he did say he heard dogs barking, so could have been a black shuck.
Yeah, but it was an old woman-shaped black shuck dog thing.
Thomas, was she down on all fours on it?
Yeah. She go, rah, 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 rah. All right. Thank you so much, Thomas. All right, Keith. Now it is your turn for your story. Give me 1 second, and then I'm locked in. By the way, so I always say this, but I don't read the stories before I don't pre-read them. So I'm reading them. I'm raw dogging them every time. So Keith, this story I've not heard of it.
Okay, great.
So
get your listening ears on. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, Keith, I'm locked and loaded. Let's rock.
Let's do it. This one. Okay, go.
All right, okay. I'm locked and loaded. Lay it on me.
Right, who's this from? Let me check first. This is from Callum.
Callum.
In Scotland, I believe.
Scotland. Callum from Scotland.
Right. Hi, Mike and Keith.
You have to read out in a Scottish accent, otherwise it's not funny. No, don't try. I actually don't even want. Nobody wants to hear it.
No, if you think Mike's bad at it,
hey,
get loaded.
Where is this coming from? You love my accent.
I love your accents. They don't. So, hi Mike and Keith. Back in the mid-90s, my parents and I moved to a remote part of the Scottish Highlands. They purchased a dilapidated church originally built in the 16th century. My dad spent a few years...
Oh, this is never a good idea to purchase a dilapidated church just like in the mid-when? 1600s? 16th century?
16th century.
So 1500s?
Yeah, up in the Scottish Highlands.
Oh my, you're asking for a haunt here.
Yeah.
Callum...
Anything from now on is your own fault.
Yeah, great. Or your parents' fault, but they're asking first.
Yeah.
This is horror movie 101.
So my dad then spent a few years converting it into a family home. That's awesome though. Like, that's serious house goals.
It would rock. I actually would buy it because I think having a haunted house would be cool.
It is pretty cool.
But yeah.
Especially like an old church.
You know, I changed my mind. I want this.
Like imagine a church and then you like paint it black. You can have like red windows in it. Yeah, really cool. It's kind of like, you ever go to Edinburgh?
No, I've never been to Edinburgh. I've always wanted to go. Everybody I know who has been to Edinburgh, including you, but also other people, say Edinburgh is like one of the coolest cities ever.
Yeah, it's awesome. But there's really cool, I think it's cathedral or a church, but it's like black stonework and it's like tall and pointy, but it has like this really cool red window in it. And
sweet.
It looks like Dracula's castle. It's freaking awesome.
Class.
That church's called the Hub, if you're looking it up.
Hub?
The Hub, Edinburgh.
The Hub, Edinburgh. I actually am looking it up.
I'll wait. You let me know what you think.
Oh, that church does look sick. Oh, it does have a red window.
Yeah, the red window's got a red door.
That is the coolest church I've ever seen.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Oh man, the red looks awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It does look like Dracula's castle.
Yeah. Check it out, people. It's called the Hub. Okay, so I lived in that church from ages 5 to 16. My bedroom was at a far corner. My bed right where the priest used to deliver his sermons. The old stained glass window behind me overlooked the remains of a small graveyard.
Oh. Wonder if that'll come back. Oh, man, this is asking for it.
Right.
I love it.
During the autumn and winter, the nights were particularly long and dark. So dark that even given time to adjust your eyes, you can't see your own hands. And almost completely noiseless too, to the point where every creak in the floorboard or crack of a wooden beam pierced the silence. There were a number of times I encountered strange and unsettling occurrences, so I want to tell you about the incident that sticks out above all the others, and remains me to this day, an experience I can only describe as insidious.
Ooh,
that's good.
I like it.
One winter's night, I was about 14. I was laying in my bed reading. Yeah, I did the same thing when I was 14. I used to read a lot as well.
Reading. Have a little J.O. session.
So my parents had just come home and told me that our dog needed to go to her own bed. I felt safer with her there. Earlier that evening, she had awoken suddenly, barking anxiously at the wall beside my bed.
Damn.
It was as if she could see something I couldn't. After she left and my parents went to bed, there was just silence and blackness. I lay there and couldn't find sleep, and the hours passed by slowly.
Damn, this story is creepy.
One by one, I started to tell my legs and the rest of my body to go to sleep. I didn't realise it, but I was speaking in a whisper. Then a slow, deliberate, raspy voice spoke just inches above my head.
Oh, I don't like this at all.
I kept my eyes tightly shut and stayed as still as a rock. I tried to breathe as quietly as possible, not wanting to even move my chest. "I know you're awake," the voice said.
Oh, shit, oh!
That's really creepy.
Yes.
Fuck it out.
I know you're awake. Oh, I'm
hovering above the head.
I'm actually probably going to fucking hear that now. I guarantee you as soon as I get to bed. Oh, damn, Colin.
So, I lay there frozen with fear. I could feel cold breath on my neck. 30 minutes passed. I had started to calm down when suddenly the duvet was pulled off violently. I tried with everything to scream for my parents, but nothing came out. A hand grabbed my forearm, long fingernails dug into my skin. For hours, I lay there completely still, every breath measured. I knew if I'd moved, whatever was in the room would see. Finally, as the sun started to eventually rise, I couldn't feel the presence any longer. I gathered my duvet and managed to sleep for a few hours. In the
How
morning,
the fuck can you go back to sleep
I know,
after
after
that?
that.
That would traumatize me for life.
In the morning, I told my parents, who they just said it was a nightmare. Classic parents.
Yeah, go back, go sleep in that room again. You'll be fine.
As I got dressed for school, I looked at my arm, and there were obvious raised marks right where it had grabbed me.
Oh.
Now, I'm quite a cynical person. I'm not religious, and it takes a lot to scare me. But to this day, I'm convinced that on that night, something evil had visited me.
Yes,
Thanks.
I think so.
Callum.
Callum, thank you for sending that in. But
That was great.
god damn, dude.
That was creepy. Well done, Callum. That was brilliant.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, fuck. That's actually, Callum, I think that story might actually give me nightmares.
You know,
Not joking.
It's just the voice. Like,
Yeah.
I know you're awake.
Oh.
That's good.
All right. Next, it's Mike's turn. That was good, Keith, but this one's going to be great. I have no idea if it's going to be great or not, but I hope so. Okay, so this one, as I said, I have not read it, but this is sent in by... Let me find the name. This is Lee, Rowan, and Seren from West Midlands, England. All right, you three. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Locked and loaded. Hi, Mike and Keith. I love the podcast and wanted to send you in my story. I think we said this before, but maybe we should cut out the whole intro part. But I don't want to. I like reading that people like our
it
stuff. So I have a few stories, but this one I truly have no explanation for. All right, Lee or Rowan or Saren, whoever wrote this. A few years ago, my daughters and I were walking our dog on the estate we live on. It was a cold, late evening, close to Christmas, one of those icy, moonless nights where the sky is pitch dark and starry, and the air sharp and still. What writing? Everybody's such a good writer. It's crazy.
Really setting the scene.
Days-old snow lay in frozen drifts, and nobody was around except us. It had become a habit to take the dog and our younger kids out after dark to rate people's Christmas lights out of 10. I love y'all rating your neighbors.
Christmas. The season of judging.
Yeah, the season to judge everybody around you. And judge how much effort they put in and if their presents are shit.
Losers.
We'd walked off our usual route to visit a few specific houses, and we were now making our way back home. Our route took us up a long, wide road. It had once been a bridleway, which is a straight track trodden over centuries between a medieval deer park and a tall beacon hill. Now the road was built up with standard suburban houses, tarmac and amber streetlights. Halfway along the road, our normally fearless dog began to act... the dog knows. The dog always knows. The dog began to act strangely. Her hackles rose, she whined, she pulled on the lead, trying to turn us up a side road. Oh, when the dog wants to get out, you know shit's about to get real. As I stopped to check she wasn't injured, my youngest daughter said, "Mom, what the hell is... Mom, what the hell... what? This is the second story that takes place on a road, and they're scary." I looked. She was pointing at a figure. On the opposite side of the road, it stood in a darkened area around 5 houses in front of us. I couldn't make out any features, just a chilling side-on silhouette. Its head had a beak-like protrusion. It wore a flowing cape with some kind of wide-brimmed hat. It stood about 6 feet tall, and it made no contact with the ground. We could see the frosted pavement clearly beneath it. I immediately thought of a plague doctor. That's what it sounds like with the hat, the beak, who are creepy looking as hell.
They are.
I think they look awesome.
They are pretty cool. Yeah.
But they're very creepy. Yeah, I immediately thought of a plague doctor, the 17th century style with the long beaked mask. I think they put herbs and shit in
Potpourri
there.
and stuff down it. Yeah,
To make so they wouldn't smell
death.
Yeah. It stood out starkly, not fitting, as if superimposed on its surroundings. Whoa. If you can imagine what a glowing black light would look like, that's the only way I can describe it. The effect you would get with a black, unlocked mobile phone screen, darkened but still emitting a deep light. I understand exactly what you mean, yeah. At first it seemed barely to move. Behind it, I noticed something billowing, like a ribbon attached to its hat. That was the only discernible movement aside from a slow flutter of the cape. It didn't turn, it didn't walk, it did nothing. It just stood there, silent, inches above the ground. The dog was now snarling. The kids repeated, "What the hell is that?" Saren, the youngest, wanted to investigate, but I held her back.
That's brave.
Yeah, exactly. Unnerved by the dog's guttural gracious lad. See what happens. You never know.
Yeah, go and check it out.
This is already weird enough. May as well see what happens. Whatever it was, we were going nowhere near it, and yeah, I would have already booked it. Suddenly, the story gets worse. Suddenly, horrifyingly, it appeared to move its head and look around, the road.
Ooh.
The idea of it, like, looking around,
Yeah,
searching.
slowly. Yeah.
My blood ran cold, and I could feel a metallic ringing in every bone. Then it slowly turned around and began to glide across the pavement. A silent dark glow drifted seamlessly towards the low garden walls. My eldest daughter, Rowan, was naturally terrified by this and began to run up the side road. I called to her to wait and grabbed her sister's hand, and when I glanced back at the entity, it had disappeared. Completely gone. And there is nowhere it could have gone, not in that split second. The low walls provided nowhere to hide. It had vanished. We ran. We slipped on sheets of ice and frozen snow, not slowing before the front door. We talked about that thing for the rest of the night with no conclusion. At one point, we all got into the car and drove past where we had seen it, just to see if there was anything it could have been. Nothing. Let's go back to where we'd seen the horrifying figure. You never know. Hey, hop in. Maybe it needs a ride.
I should have let you go, child, to have a look.
Yeah. A couple of months later, I was walking home from work and saw a blur dart across the same stretch of road. It was over in an instant and of no definable shape, but it was the same area and the same kind of cold, moonless, clear night. Whether it was linked to that entity, I have no idea. Returning to the place in daylight, I noticed that it had been hovering by a street cabinet for phone and internet cables. There was also an audible rush of drain water beneath the street. Maybe the proximity to cables and water had caused a mirage of some kind, or maybe it was just like the electrician just having a check.
Just hanging from the lamppost.
Yeah.
Help!
Yeah.
Oh my god, run!
To me, though, it seemed both sentient and otherworldly. Honestly, we all thought a plague doctor ghost when we saw it. The village is mentioned in records dating back to 954, the year 954, so that's pretty old.
That is old.
So in over 1,000 years of history, it's inevitable that plague had an influence there. This was also during the pandemic, so perhaps the new pestilence had triggered something dormant from the past. Ooh,
That's cool.
The pestilence. The plague doctor has risen once again, coming for COVID. Why it would be hovering on a suburban street at night, I don't know. It could have been something else entirely. Stone tape recording, alien, mass hallucination. I hope you enjoyed my story, and if you have any ideas of what we saw, I would love to hear them. Well, you did see it around Christmas time, so Santa Claus, perhaps?
Could have been.
You never know.
Could have been the Ghost of Christmas Future.
Ooh,
Checking out. His next hunt.
Well, probably the Ghost of Christmas Past, as it's plague doctor style. Plague doctors were popular during the 1600s, during the time of the Black Death.
Yeah, but the Ghost of Christmas Future he's death, right? So, and he kind of looks like a bit. Listen, all my knowledge of that movie is The Muppets Christmas Carol. So.
I have never read. Listen, Keith, don't get me started on Charles Dickens again. You know my feelings on Charles Dickens. I've also never seen the Muppets.
What?
The only Muppet I've seen is you, Keith.
Hey.
Continuing. I still go by it to this day, and it creeps me out more as time goes by. I've seen and heard countless weird things in hospitals and prisons as a nurse, but this one was a bit close to home. Always happy to share more tales if you want them. Thanks, Mike and Keith. That was Lee, Rowan, and Saren from West Midlands, England. Yes, Lee, please send in more tales. I always love hearing stories from hospitals.
Yeah, they're really
Or
cool.
prisons, too. That's really good. But that was a great story.
Really good.
That gave me... That's scary. Keith, don't interrupt me. You know my feelings on you interrupting me. But what I was going to say, plague doctors rock. I think but they're terrifying looking.
They're
Man,
really
the
scary.
idea of a floating plague doctors floating in the road. Whoa, boy. Merry Christmas to you, sir.
That's what I was going to say. Like that's honestly, that's a great idea, like for a book or a movie, like a ghostly plague doctor coming back during a pandemic.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
It reminds me of you don't really read SCPs, but there's one SCP who is a plague doctor, and he's always looking to cure the pestilence, and he basically just goes around murdering people.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But he's like a doctor from like back in the day.
Yeah, you should write that down.
Yeah, write down your stories. Send them in, please.
I'll tell you what, we'll go halves you if you get a movie of it.
Yes, if you do. Well,
we're nice like that.
This is copyrighted. This podcast is copyrighted. No, that's a great story, Lee. Thank you so much for sending it in. Really, really creepy. Yeah, creepy ghostly figure.
It's good.
When she says it, like looked around. Oh boy.
Yeah. Horrifying.
Yeah.
We talked about something similar in the Black Monk of Pontefract episode. That was one where like poltergeist was haunting a house again in a very, very old town in England, And the
Oh
house.
my god, how many times have we said this? England is the most haunted
England
country.
is the whole country is haunted.
Yeah.
But in that story, that was also built above a well, and yeah, there's many people they believe that ghosts can use water to connect with the living and communicate or interact with the physical world. So you did say it was above drainage.
You could hear
type
rushing
stuff.
water.
Yeah, so
maybe there's something in the water. Well.
it's like a ghost subway.
Yeah, exactly. That's how to just get around. All right. Keith,
Cool. All right.
you're up, big dog.
Right.
Dog.
Right. Who is this from? This is from Anne Margaret Poole.
And Margaret Poole.
Hi, Mike and Keith.
Hello.
Just want to start off by offering up some massive compliments. I
Thank
know
you.
how much you hate them.
Damn it, we gave it away.
Yeah, if anything, if we've one flaw, it's that we're too modest. That's the problem. Love the podcast and the YouTube channel. It is definitely my nighttime ritual sleep aid.
But tell us how much you love it.
I know.
Use more adjectives, please.
So I would like to tell you a story that happened to me back in the 80s. Yes, I'm pretty old, whatevs. So let me start off in true Golden Girl Estelle Getty style. Picture this. It's 1984. I'm 5 years old and living in a pretty rundown area of Glasgow's East End. Disclaimer, it's probably...
Oh, wait, this is another Scottish episode?
Yeah, another
That's
Scottish one.
two in one episode. That is it. Well, the first one was pretty scary, so all right.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
So disclaimer, it's probably best not to picture it. I guess it's a rundown area. So it was a time when adults would congregate in my grandparents' house most weekends to get, how can I say this, pretty much shit-faced and dance to all the 80s classics that would make Gen Z cringe in pain.
Hey, I'm not Gen Z. We're millennials, but I love 80s music.
Right? That's the best.
80s music is the best.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to just get shit-faced and dance to 80s music all
I know,
night.
sounds
It'd be
fantastic.
great.
Let's do it tonight. As it was generally all family members, the kids would be thrown into a room to forcibly get along with a multitude of snacks and a dusty old record player for entertainment.
Nice.
I've definitely been to a couple of those parties myself in the 90s. You know, you're shoved upstairs with all the cousins. And then, like, you're kind of hoping, it's like, oh, I guess, like, we should be going around now. It's pretty late.
Yeah.
And then you hear the guitars start downstairs.
Oh,
Like, oh,
God.
no.
Yeah.
It's only getting started. So this one particular night, it was myself, my older brother, and my cousin, my least favourite cousin. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Who had been bundled into my gran and grandpa's room to make our own fun as the sounds of drunken swearing and stomping emanated from the living room. We live in what we call a scheme. So a small houses bound together with community spirit, religion and poverty, with the odd sectarian street fight thrown in for good measure. Although it had a colourful past, it was steeped in World War II history. I recall tales from my granddad of bombs falling, and they still had a small corrugated iron bomb shelter in the garden, which had now become the local hotspot for the street's promiscuous cats to give birth in.
We call it the cat foot shelter now. Yeah.
The cat brothel. Along with my granddad's war tales, my gran would tell me of strange goings on in the house after they moved in there post-war. This is exactly what we're just talking about.
Yeah.
So she was a gentle soul who was definitely open-minded with regards to otherworldly experiences. My granddad, not so much. He was very logical. As we sat in their room, eating beef Monster Munch and drinking full sugar iron brew.
Oh, Monster Munch, you can't beat it.
Beef Monster Munch? I mean, like hot and spicy. That's the
true.
superior
Beef ones
flavour.
are pretty good though. Beef Monster Munch, man. I want some Monster Munch now.
Yeah, but hot and spicy, man.
Yeah, probably. Although I think the beef ones are pretty good too.
I don't think I've ever had them, actually. I just know what I like, okay?
Yeah. You're wrong. I've never had it, but you're wrong.
So we squabbled over which single to put on and who would be the DJ. We settled on a 7-inch record of Old Shep, a devastating song about a dude losing his beloved dog. After we wiped our tears away, I took over the record player and popped on my favourite David Bowie song, John, I'm Only Dancing. As I looked up, behind my brother and cousin was something so utterly terrifying. I wished I was still in my big cloth nappies. Though the curtains, you know those big, thick 70s curtains? The ones so heavily patterned that you could throw pot and noodle on them and it would still not show up? This is great.
Yeah.
Was a set of absolutely not human, glowing red eyes.
Ooh.
So the eyes stood about 10 to 12 feet from the ground and shone through as if it was watching the three of us intently. I performed the old movie motion, pointing, wide-eyed, mouth agape, but no sound would come out. My bro and cousin stared at me and my skin turned paler by the second. Then they turned and came face to face with it. There was no outline, just the massive deep red eyes. One of us, I can't remember who, darted through to the adults and screamed bloody murder. The wails caused the men to run through, half expecting half expecting to have fistcuffs with some drunken intruder, but were met with something otherworldly instead.
Oh my god. The adults seen it too?
I know, right? So my lasting image of this was my gran covering her mouth and praying as my oh-so-logical granddad sauntered through ready to give his "let's explain this away" speech. However, on seeing the eyes, he stopped, almost threw himself backwards out of the room and ran for the emergency holy water bottle in the shape of Mary, obviously.
Classic.
We definitely had one of those in the house.
Yeah, it'll solve anything, really.
Right?
Yeah.
He doused the room with it. It was utter mayhem. The family members were grabbing us and screaming, and my granddad flailing about. I will never forget it. To this day, my bro and cousin, they still recall it the exact same way, but my granddad, he never speaks of it. All of it creeps the entire shite out of me, especially years later when I watched The Mothman.
Ooh, the Scottish Mothman.
Scottish Mothman. Yeah, fuck all that. Thanks for listening and keep up the awesome work.
Damn, that was a good story, but so did he just go away? Just disappeared?
Well, after they threw the holy water.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He had no choice.
Yeah, he was forced to flee.
Yeah, he was out there. Usually, I don't, I'm like you, and I don't really read the stories beforehand. I read them raw dogging.
Yeah.
As I was picking the stories, something in this caught my eye.
Pardon the Mothman, perchance, which is a favourite of ours.
It was that. And so I gave it a quick little read, and my creative writing juices came a-flowing.
Excellent.
So I have just a little short paragraph, which I've written, which is heavily based on this story.
Yeah, okay.
But I think you might like it.
Hit me.
Okay. So we were in Glasgow's East End. There's a room full of kids on the second floor. The air is thick with the smell of beef, Monster Munch chips, and iron brew.
Yes.
Then, as if drawn by some unseen force, every child's gaze shifts to the large window. There, just beyond the glass, two massive glowing red eyes hover in the darkness. The pupils seem to burn with an ancient, sinister hunger, locking onto the terrified children's faces within. It's Scottish Mothman.
Oh.
The children, they freeze in place. Their hearts are pounding in unison, as if they are ensnared by those blazing eyes. Fear holds them captive, paralysing their bodies, with their minds scream for escape. And then, just when the silence becomes unbearable, the creature's mouth slowly opens. A deep, guttural voice rumbles from within, sending shivers through their very bones. The Scottish Mothman speaks at last.
Does somebody not know how to flush a toilet after you've had a shit?
What do you mean?
Well, I was fucking one of yous. Disgusting.
Classic.
I thought you liked that.
That is one of my favorite internet videos ever.
It's so
Two
good.
Scottish girls.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, it's a viral video. It's two
It's
young
the funniest.
Scottish girls, and they go to start a song, and then their mum barges in the door just as they start recording and says that.
Yeah, which one
Someone-
has forgot to flush the toilet? You take a shite. Disgusting.
Disgusting.
All right, it's my turn.
Yep. You're up.
Okay, this is Mike's story number 3. All right, so this one begins. This is sent in by Selma from Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Okay, so zdravo, which is hello in Bosnian? Sure. As I probably butchered even saying that. Mike and Keith, a long-time viewer and listener here, writing to you with a personal, creepy story. For context, I describe myself as a skeptic in the true sense of that word. I don't believe in ghosts, demons, gods, nor their peers, but I humbly admit I'm not all-knowing, which is a shame. I agree. Still, I will not taunt the devil, nor seek out the devil with a candle, as my country folk would say, seek out the devil with a candle. Or you just seek him out, no candle. Just seek him out.
He'll find you.
For example, yeah, exactly. He'll find you. You don't need a candle. For example, despite my atheism, there are things I wouldn't do just in case. My grands have instilled deep within me that I must not reply should an invisible entity call my name, nor ever step into the center of the trash whirls, which is small trash and dust spinning in the street due to wind, because it's the djinn playing, the grands would say. Those must be very bored djinn, though. So wait, what? Trash blowing in a circle in the street, which presumably can happen quite frequently. If you walk into the middle of that, that's a djinn coming to get you.
Well, I also
What?
make a point of not standing and spinning trash, but that's more,
Yeah,
that's more of a hygiene thing.
That's true. Yes, exactly. I'm not easily frightened either. For example, about once a month, my dog and I will spend a weekend in nature, in a house surrounded by a forest, and it's all natural darkness and mysterious sounds, with a few houses nearby, but rarely anybody home, and a cemetery a 2-minute walk away. I can see where this story is going already. Hey, listen, Selma, I got you. I caught you. Okay, where's this going? Okay. I'd take my dog for a walk at night, would look up at a window of a house and see something akin to a disfigured, ungodly creature observing me from the inside. What kind of place are you living in where there's disfigured, ungodly creatures staring at you out windows? At this point, in a single millisecond, 2 things happen at the same time. My heart gallops and goes, "Unholy mother of all demonic excrements! It's a demon! We are about to die, be killed, be skinned alive, brought back to life, and die again via a gory, torturous murder. Alas, I say, horror!" Well, that's one way of putting it. I would have just say, "Oh shit." But my brain soothingly goes, "Calm down, you silly cow. It's just moonlight hitting the furniture inside." And I, the brain, not knowing what it is and trying to make sense of it, and just interpreting it as a demon-like figure. Settle down now, nothing to worry about. Except a potential serial killer lurking from behind those trees over there, observing a young woman alone in the mountains, waiting for a chance to jump out and commit a gory, torturous murder. I prefer the first one.
Yeah, and also, like, now we all know where you go once a month, so...
Exactly.
Alone.
Yes, with your dog, where there is, where furniture looks like a disfigured, ungodly creature.
So you should be more afraid.
Man, yeah, exactly. This is how it functions since I can remember, including the time of my creepy story. I was in primary school, let's say 10 years old. Well, you did say it. To understand the story, I need to describe the flat we were living in at the time. This would be a couple of years after a brutal war in my country. And with our home burned down, my family was moved around a lot. This flat was large. When you opened the door and enter, you were in a short hallway, 4 to 5 meters long. Right across from the entrance is one room, my brother's. You turn left and you start walking. On your left now, next to my brother's room, is the kitchen. You keep going straight. You exit the hallway and enter the living room, and then go straight into another short hallway. The bathroom's on your left, then the master bathroom, and finally my little room right in front of you. Okay, now we got the general gist of the flat, and I can picture it in my mind. So if you just walk straight from the door of the flat, you'd enter my room at the end of the hall. Okay. It was very deep into the night. I don't remember anything in particular waking me up. There was nothing. It was so quiet. The flat, the building, the street outside the window under which my bed was placed, the main street a bit further away, all still, nothing there. I was way too awake for my age, and for a time of the night for no good reason at all. I closed my eyes in an attempt to fall asleep again. Uh-oh. Here we go. And so it begins.
Kicking off.
A few seconds later, the quiet was broken. There was indeed a sound, emphasized by the silence through which it moved. And it moved. A very slight echo followed it, filling the apparent nothingness of the space. Somewhere up the street, relatively far from my window, a clear, precise thud. Sharp and dull at the same time. Exciting and dull at the same time. I mean, I wouldn't say exciting.
No.
That's not the word I would use. That sounds like shit myself. And not dull neither. It was something akin to a tennis ball hitting the pavement at regular intervals, a second apart, or perhaps a very heavy cane. Thump, thump. Okay, that's a very different connotation to a tennis ball. The sound was moving down my street, on the other side of it, towards my building. Thump, becoming closer with each thump. It was now 20 meters from the building. Thump, thump. Now 10 meters. Thump. About 2 when it crossed the street.
Getting closer.
Poised as it had been all along. It stopped 4 floors down on the pavement, right underneath my window. Silence, nothingness. 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. Thump. Door to the flat.
Oh, shit.
Oh, no. Okay. Thump. Thump. First hallway. Thump. Through the hallway. Thump. Next to my brother's room. Thump. Next to the kitchen. Thump. Inside the dining room. It's about to enter the short hallway leading to my... Keith, you can finish reading this. This is scaring me. I don't know if it's Halloween, but I'm definitely getting... Or watching the amount of horror movies I'm watching lately, but I'm getting scared easier than I normally would be. At this point, I jumped out of my bed, embracing my pillow, refusing to look into the darkness of the hallway as if that would save me. I just made a sharp right into my parents' room and crouched next to their bed, centimeters from my mum's face, just staring at her, not blinking, looking like a chubby Toshio from the Grudge film. I traumatized the woman that night. I didn't move nor make a sound, but she felt my presence. It startled her, and she found herself looking straight into my eyes, perhaps wondering if a psychologist or an exorcist was in order. But imagine that, just waking up and seeing your kid just staring at you.
Yeah,
I mean, you sound like
all
you're
the time, man.
the ghost there, yeah. I wouldn't ever ask my parents to sleep in their bed, nor was I easily frightened child, so my mum was quite alarmed. I just said I wanted to sleep between her and Dad, and I did, nicely cradled in safety. The very moment my mother opened her eyes, the thump vanished. I never heard it again. The sounds of the night returned. Cars were speeding down the main street. When I think of it, my heart still remarks, we could have suffered a horrible, gruesome death that night, you know? But my brain responds, nah, you little lunatic, nothing to worry about, just some lifelong post-war PTSD. All good. Other strange...
All good.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All good,
All
yeah.
good, yeah.
Just the usual good old post-horrific war PTSD. Other strange and scary things would happen throughout my life, but I'd find explanations for all of them. Well, except the sound of this night. Thank you for reading this. Looking forward to more YouTube and podcast episodes. As we say in our country, wish you, your families, and the listeners great health, good fortune, and the best of luck. That was from Selma from Sarajevo. Wow. Okay, Selma, I feel like you should be a lot less atheist than you are. 'Cause
Right.
This is freaking me out.
Something's following you.
Something's out there. Yeah.
Watch your back.
I mean, I imagine in a horrific war kind of post, there'd be like, place would be haunted as shit.
Right?
Like, that's a recipe for like angry ghosts.
Yeah. We go back to England again, but like we're all like, there's been so many wars and battles and stuff. You hear like a lot of like ghostly and poltergeist activity on like site within houses.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, and plagues and shit.
Yes. Yeah.
Man. Damn. Okay, great story, Selma. Thank you. That generally give me the creeps. All right, folks, we will leave you there with your terrifying listener tales, volume 6, I believe this is. Thank you so much to everybody who took the time to write out their stories, and thank you so much for sending them in. They were great. Really enjoyed this one. We'll try and I think we should really try and do this more regularly.
Yeah. Well, we've so many to get through, so
We do need to start getting through them. Yes, so there's only about 100 and... oh, no, it's got up 250 pages, but I did change the font size.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, Red Zero. This is at font Arial, font size 13. It is 224 pages.
How many words is that?
Word count is at 83,000 words.
That's a novel.
That is a novel, so we will expect more listener tales coming soon, guys.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. As always, send them into mikeohhello@gmail.com. That is mikeohhello @gmail.com if you got any good stories like the ones you just heard about Wolf. Well, honestly, I think the one that I'm going to stick with me, this one is Callum's I Know You're Still Awake voice.
Yeah. Ooh.
Or the thump at the door.
That was good
freaked
as well,
me.
yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for listening, guys. New episode every Monday. All right. Thanks.
I'll see you.
There you go. All right. Bye, guys. You've been great. See you.